I am often surprised how often political stars, media stars, and sports stars give a rip about a rural guy in Indiana swearing at you on Twitter. What do you make of Kevin Durant?
I think it's one of those things where it's the opposite of what you would expect. It's like in life, rich people, you would expect to not be frugal, but many, in fact, are. Like the cheapest people are often the richest people.
Yes.
And they like convince themselves, this is how I got rich, even though there really isn't any correlation. You know many comedians. You're kind of like a classic comedian yourself. You like to kind of write out funny one-liners.
We're loners.
Comedians, you would think, are the funniest people. Like, oh, I'd love to have a beer with that guy. He's hilarious. Most comedians are super, super dark.
Yes, there's no question.
Okay, well, many people who are incredibly successful are incredibly insecure. Our president is a guy with his incredibly successful. Look, he's the president of the United States, and yet he has thin skin. He had thin skin even when he's just a billionaire real estate mogul. The same is true with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan brought the guy who beat him out in high school to his Hall of Fame induction ceremony just to call him out yet again. And I think a lot of guys like Kevin Durant think this is what fuels them. This is what makes them great. It's not. There's no correlation. But I think a lot of times people in life who are incredibly successful, it goes the opposite of reason, but they are incredibly insecure. And here's a guy who's a world champion. He's an NBA MVP, a finals MVP, an NBA champion, a gold medalist. He's led the NBA in scoring. You would think he have nothing in the world to be insecure about.
Nothing.
But it's pretty obvious that he is.
No, it's a very good point. Comedians are dark, rich people are frugal, and that nobody likes free stuff more than rich people.
I like free. I know you like free stuff more than I do, and you're richer than I am. That's
come on, let's stop.
True.
All right, one more basketball thing. I thought Kyrie Irving on First Take. I'm not here to promote another network. I thought a lot of his answers were weird, but, you know, I'm kind of a LeBron guy over a Kyrie guy. But the LeBron story, like Peter Vesey was Woj before Woj. Bucher's got contacts. Chris Sheraton's out of the business but has contacts. When I hear 100% Lakers, I think to myself, okay, you know the Lakers. Mm-hmm. You worked out with them once over in Hawaii. I mean, you were part of the team for a while in a camp. You know the organization well. You know hoops. You know the agents. You know the players. Okay, maybe 100. I have Peter Vesey in 2 hours. This would fundamentally change the league. It would be a Celtics-Lakers league again, and Warriors. Do the Lakers know something we don't know?
I don't think they know. I think they have a strong reason to suspect that they're getting him.
Okay.
Right? But they do not know. They are not cleaning out a locker, trying to pick out, which number is he going to wear. They're not trying to where you're going to put the LeBron bust. But they have created the perfect scenario so that he has a landing spot, and then he'll be able to bring another superstar with him.
Should I read into the fact that they acquired a kid from Detroit, a lanky two-guard who was repped by LeBron's people? Remember they did that about 6 months ago?
KCP, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope.
Okay, at the time I was like, that's kind of coincidental. Does that mean anything?
Yeah, I mean, he's represented by Rich Paul. It was kind of an uncomfortable press conference where they're just loving. None of this would have happened if not for Rich Paul. Like, wait, you overpaid a guy on a one-year deal. It would have happened regardless of who the agent is. Should you? No, but I like all signs point to this. And they're making it. They've said it time and again that LA is different. There's a cachet to Magic. There's the cachet to being a superstar in Los Angeles. And then, of course, LeBron doesn't – it's not like he's sitting there and downplaying it, right? We're talking about playing pickup basketball at home being L.A., coming out here and working out at Notre Dame High School and just happens to take a tour of Notre Dame High School. By the way, LeBron went to Notre Dame High School outside of in Akron, but is he touring it for his own boys to go there? He's got his oldest son is going to be a star. So, I mean, I think everybody's operating under the assumption that this is very, very likely to happen, but the Lakers are not getting confident or arrogant thinking it's a done deal. They also want to leave the possibility open of if he doesn't come, Russell Westbrook, Paul George, we'll take you both instead of just being able to take one.
All right, let's segue to football. Doug Gottlieb joining us. He's got our show After Us, 3 to 6, Fox Sports Radio. Eli Manning, I say it's the relationship. All sports relationships are the same. The honeymoon, the good times, the what the heck do we do now stage. I think it's morphed into that. I thought it morphed into it a couple of years ago. Everybody's pointing fingers. You don't fire quarterbacks. You generally fire coaches. So McAdoo's in trouble, I guess. But how much is Eli?
Oh, I think a good portion of it is Eli, right? They've made the playoffs only twice in the last 9 years. So, I mean, right? Like, we're like, oh, you won a Super Bowl. Like, made the playoffs twice in the last 9 years.
And by the way, Washington's been largely dysfunctional that time. Philadelphia's been largely dysfunctional in that time.
Right. Remember, they cycled through the end of the Andy Reid era, went through the Chip Kelly era.
So it was a mess for about 4 years.
And you know, now even now they're not. Last year the Giants being up correlated with the Eagles being down.
Right.
And the Cowboys, how many times has Tony Romo gotten hurt? How many times have they been disappointing? And yet they've only made the playoffs twice in the last 9 years. You go back to Tom Coughlin being there. He fired his offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator. Heck, Ben McAdoo was brought in simply to save Eli Manning's career. Now, look, some of this is a Jerry Reese deal. Eric Flowers can't play at left tackle.
Can't.
Brandon Marshall's washed up.
Yep.
Can't catch when he is open, can't get open most of the time. And they still can't run the football. But one of the reasons they can't run the football is he's so slow, and these older quarterbacks are so slow getting from the center to hand the ball off that you have to go from the shotgun. It's hard to run it in the NFL from the shotgun to hand the foot. There's a bunch of different problems. But the biggest problem is the elephant in the room is that Eli Manning is past whatever prime that he had. And the problem with it, you related it to relationships, is nobody actually wants to put themselves out there and be single because they fear what Kristine was talking about, searching for that next one. Will I find somebody else?
Sure.
There'll be somebody else out there. It doesn't mean you'll be the Dolphins searching for the next Dan Marino for 25 years or the Bears searching for a quarterback for 30 years or the Browns
but you
cycling.
might be, and the window is closing for you to make a
No.
babies.
It is the fear. It is the fear.
You might be. But look, they've been in the market for a quarterback. Ryan Nassib was a guy they thought maybe hasn't been the guy. But in the context of just this year, they got to fix this thing because that was ugly last night. Like, the Lions weren't that good. The Lions, they weren't dying to be beaten, but that game should have been competitive, and they couldn't even compete. Eli butchered a 4th and goal at the 2-yard line. Even Ben McAdoo called him out for being sloppy. And I think you didn't get the best out of Odell Beckham, even though he wasn't 100%, because everybody's got their hands in the air because the line can't block anybody.
Stay here. We'll come back. We're in L.A. It's the Herd. So Kyrie Irving was on First Take yesterday. Kyrie was a Duke star for a year, goes to the NBA. We're not sure. Teams with LeBron. Oh, my God, he's great. Then he says, I want out. He goes to Boston. He's on First Take. You know, he's a world as flat as guy. He's a little crazy. He went to Duke, so I know he's smart. I hear him all the time. I think he's smart. He plays smart. Sometimes his opinions are different. What did you make of the First Take interview?
It was an odd appearance, right? Like, why do the appearance unless you have something to say? Obviously, part of it is promoting the new Uncle Drew stuff. The world, the flat Earth, world is flat thing. I think that's just simply trying to clown people, trying to embarrass the media, and I actually think that was his intent. His intent was to. He asked Max Kellerman, why do you care so much? I mean, now, Max should have come back and said, look, you guys have a ready-made team to make another NBA Finals 4 years in a row. Why would you break that up? Why would you split tens? But instead, it became more about him trying to embarrass Max. But I also think that the answer in why he didn't call LeBron is pretty simple. What we've read is LeBron said they wanted to go get, LeBron wanted Chris Paul after they won a championship. And when Kyrie found out about that, he was out. He was mentally checked out.
Yeah.
It wasn't like LeBron had told him any of this. And once he became aware that I just hit the game-winning shot to win you your NBA championship for your hometown, and the thanks I get is, you want Chris Paul? Why do I owe you anything since you don't think you owe me anything?
Yeah, that's fair. Kristine's been very much.
I said that yesterday, and you disagreed with me.
No, I didn't I didn't disagree with you. My takeaway on Kyrie is that if you are going to bail on somebody, generally I'm a heads-up guy. Yeah. That's my theory. And if you have helped me in life, I would say, hey, dude, phone call. I think you.
LeBron didn't give Cleveland a phone call when he left the first time. Didn't give Miami a phone call when he left. I agree with you, right? Like it's like when you sign a scholarship, you call the coaches that you're not going to play for.
It's just be a decent person.
But I think that tells you all you need to know about the relationship or the lack of relationship between him and LeBron James.
And I also think LeBron's created a trend. LeBron is the great, like when Magic and Bird saved the NBA, and then Michael became sort of, he made it a global sport.
Right.
And then LeBron's the player mobility guy. Like, the players now have more power than owners. And that's kind of his thing. Well, the problem with that brand is everybody that plays with LeBron thinks, I'm just going to get thrown into the trash like everybody else. And I think at some point, the more I listen to this story and watch it develop, Kyrie's just like, listen, you just throw people away. You're the player mobility guy, and I didn't want to be thrown into the trash.
I also think, though, that remember everyone in that organization, who's the most powerful agent for that organization? It's Rich Paul, who's not Kyrie's agent, but is the agent for half. Yeah. So it's like it's not necessarily LeBron personally that makes it so you want to do your own thing. It's that LeBron has so much influence, and the entire organization is focused on LeBron, from agents to the other players who have his agents, to LeBron himself, to the ownership not getting along with LeBron, to the coaching staff. And obviously Tyronn Lue was handpicked by LeBron James, all that stuff, which like, you know what? At some point, I just want to go and play on a regular team with a regular coach and a general manager and ownership. Yeah. And there's the normal kind of pecking order as opposed to this kind of new age of things that LeBron has created.
Yeah, there's a lot of, LeBron is the world's best player. I can never see a guy leaving Magic, LeBron, or Michael, but the more it's been unpacked, every day there's a layer to it. I'm coming to the conclusion that Kyrie's just like, man, nobody's helping me and giving me a
wish Kyrie would have a second Twitter account and then mistakenly have his own Twitter like Kevin Durant.
But he doesn't do stuff like that.
But I don't like Kevin Durant finally explained to us why he left, which I totally agree with. Yeah. Like, look, Scotty Brooks was his guy. They fired his guy. Right? And they bring in Billy Donovan, who he didn't kind of jibe with, a college coach who never coached in the NBA. And then if you look at that roster outside of Russell Westbrook and Kevin Durant,
guys can't shoot.
It's not good enough. And he was tired of playing 1-on-2 every time he had to win a game in the NBA playoffs. Like all of that is reasonable. And I don't know if the truth ultimately sets you free immediately, but ultimately will, because I think most of us nod our heads and go, you know what? Oklahoma City screwed this thing up. They had Harden, they had Durant, they had Westbrook, they had Scotty Brooks, they had what's the shot blocker?
Ibaka.
Serge Ibaka, all in their prime. They chose
Jeff
not to
Green
go in,
even.
They chose not to go in the luxury tax.
Yep.
They jettisoned James Harden, and it all of a sudden became a house of cards.
Okay.
Which also proves, by the way, that he did not leave solely because of Russell Westbrook.
Not solely, but part of it. Hi, everybody, and thanks for watching. We want you to subscribe here, to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from the herd, or go watch a few segments from the newest show on FS1, First Things First, with Chris Carter and Nick Wright.